If you pulled up the 2026 World Cup bracket for the first time and just stared at it, don't worry. That's a completely normal reaction. Because compared to every World Cup you've ever watched, this thing looks like someone took the old format and put it through a blender. More teams, more groups, more rounds, more everything. And if nobody walks you through it before the tournament kicks off, you're going to spend the whole summer nodding along pretending you understand what's happening. So let's fix that right now, starting with the big picture. How did we get here, and why does this tournament look so different from anything that came before it? First, the basics. The 2026 FIFA World Cup runs from June 11 to July 19, 2026. 40 days of football. And right out of the gate, history is already being made. Because for the first time ever, the World Cup is being co-hosted by 3 separate nations. The United States, Mexico, and Canada are sharing the tournament. 1 World Cup, 3 countries, 3 sets of stadiums, cultures, time zones, and fan bases all running simultaneously. That has never happened before, not once in over 100 years of World Cup history. The closest thing was 2002, when Japan and South Korea split hosting duties, and that was only 2 countries. This is a completely different scale, and scale is exactly the right word for 2026. Because the single biggest change, the one that makes everything else cascade, is this: 48 teams. That's the number. 48 countries. The old format? 32 teams. For decades. Rock solid. Everyone knew it. You could draw the bracket on a napkin at a bar and get it basically right. But FIFA blew that up. They expanded the field from 32 to 48, and suddenly the whole structure had to be rebuilt from scratch. More teams means more groups. Instead of 8 groups of 4, you now have 12 groups of 4. 12, every group plays out the same way. Each team gets 3 games. Round robin. Everyone plays everyone else in their group once. But 12 groups running simultaneously is a different animal than 8. The group stage alone becomes its own sprawling event before a single knockout game is played. And the numbers back that up in a big way. The total match count for the 2026 World Cup is 104 games. 104, that's 72 group stage matches spread across those 12 groups, and then 32 knockout games after that. For context, the last World Cup in Qatar had 64 total matches. That's a 40-game jump. The biggest single increase since 1998 when FIFA first moved from 24 to 32 teams. This is not a tweak, this is a rebuild. 16 stadiums across 16 cities are hosting the action. 11 in the United States, 3 in Mexico, 2 in Canada. And here's something that matters if you're planning to attend. Every single venue is guaranteed to host at least 1 knockout match. Nobody gets stuck with only group stage games. AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, is taking on the most matches overall, with 9. And the final, the last game standing, goes to MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. July 19th, that's the destination. Everything else is just the road to get there. Now let's talk money for a second, because the financial stakes here are genuinely staggering. FIFA has put together a prize pool of $871 million for this tournament. The team that wins the whole thing, lifts the trophy at MetLife, survives every round, can take home up to $62.5 million. Just to put that in perspective, that's not the total prize pool, that's the Champions Cut alone. These are numbers that reflect just how massive this event has become globally. And it's worth noting those figures are based on FIFA's provisional allocations. The final breakdown could still shift before June, but the scale of what's on the line is not in question. Beyond the size and the money, 2026 also brings a set of new on-field rules that are going to change how the actual games feel to watch. Substitutions now come with a 10-second clock. Teams have to complete the swap quickly. No more players slowly trudging off the pitch while burning 90 seconds of game time. Restart situations get a 5-second countdown too, so teams can't stall at set pieces. There are mandatory hydration breaks built into matches now, which matters a lot when you're talking about summer heat in places like Dallas and Los Angeles. The video review system gets expanded powers under the new rules. And there's a new red card offense that might raise some eyebrows, covering your mouth to hide communication on the pitch. That's now a bookable offense. Whether you love or hate the direction football is heading with officiating, these changes are real, they're happening, and if you don't know about them, some of the calls you see in June are going to feel random and confusing. Zooming all the way out. What does 2026 actually represent in the history of this sport? It's the first triple-host World Cup ever, the first 48-team tournament, the first time every single FIFA confederation has a guaranteed allocation of berths, and the first World Cup returning to a June-July schedule since 2002. Every one of those facts is a first. This tournament is a line in the sand. There's what the World Cup was, and there's what it becomes in 2026. The bracket that comes with all of this, the one that confused you when you first looked it up, that's what we're going to break down next. Piece by piece, until it makes complete sense. So now you know how big this thing is. 48 teams, 12 groups, 104 matches. But knowing the size of the tournament and actually understanding how the bracket works are two completely different things. So let's get into the mechanics, because this is where it gets genuinely interesting and genuinely confusing if nobody explains it properly. Start with the group stage. Each of the 12 groups plays out its 3 rounds. Top 2 teams in every group advance automatically. No drama, no math, no checking other scores. First place, second place, you're through. That gives us 24 teams locked into the knockout bracket immediately. Clean, simple, but 24 isn't the magic number. The round of 32 needs exactly 32 teams. So 8 spots are still empty, and those 8 spots go to the best third-place finishers from across all 12 groups. Here's where you need to pay attention. All 12 teams that finish third, one from each group, get lined up on a single combined leaderboard. FIFA ranks them all together. The top 8 survive. The bottom 4 go home. And to figure out which 8 make it through, there's a tiebreaker ladder. First points earned across the 3 group games. Then goal difference. Then goals scored. If teams are still level after that, it goes to head-to-head results between the tied teams. Then fair play points, yellow and red cards counted against you. And finally, if it still isn't settled, FIFA ranking. That last step almost never gets used, but it's there. And knowing that order matters, because at the end of the group stage, you might find yourself watching a game that feels meaningless on its own, and realizing it's deciding whether a third-place team stays alive based on goal difference by a single goal. Now the bracket structure itself, the round of 32 runs from matches 73 through 88. And this is the part most people don't realize. Those matchups are preset. They aren't drawn out of a hat after the group stage ends. FIFA already knows in advance which slot each group winner, runner-up, and qualifying third-place team fills. The bracket is built before a single ball is kicked in June. What FIFA doesn't know yet, what nobody knows, is which teams are going to be in those slots. For example, one preset matchup has the runner-up of Group A against the runner-up of Group B. Another has the winner of Group E against one of the best third-place finishers. The pairings are fixed by design. The teams that fill them get determined by results. That's the system. And this is where the third-place situation becomes genuinely complicated. Because the 8 qualifying third-place teams don't slot into the bracket randomly. Which specific preset matchup a third-place team lands in depends on which groups they came from. And here's the number that captures just how wild this gets. There are 495 possible combinations of 8 groups producing third-place qualifiers. 495. Before the draw, the number of realistic combinations was already down to 91, and it narrows further as group results come in, but the point stands. The bracket cannot be fully confirmed until the group stage is completely finished. So when you're watching the last round of group games and someone says the bracket is set, it's not. Not entirely. Not until every third-place team is identified and slotted. To make this concrete, here's one real example of how that slotting works. Under one specific combination, where groups B, F, G, H, I, J, K, and L are the ones supplying third-place qualifiers, the United States, finishing first in Group D, would face Bosnia-Herzegovina, who finished third in Group B. That's a predetermined pairing based entirely on which combination of groups happen to produce the third placers. Different combination, different opponent for the US. Same bracket position, different team across from them. This is why analysts tracking the bracket in real time are juggling scenarios right up until the final group whistles. And it's worth saying clearly, the exact round of 32 matchups and some scheduling details will only be fully confirmed after the group stage wraps up. Venue assignments and kickoff times may shift too, depending on logistics and broadcasting arrangements. Go in expecting that. Don't expect a clean, complete bracket the morning after the group stage kicks off. Once the round of 32 is set, the rest of the knockout structure is straightforward. 32 teams, 16 matches, half the field gone in a single round. Then the round of 16, 8 matches, 8 more teams eliminated. Quarterfinals, 4 matches, 8 teams become 4. Semifinals, 2 matches, 4 teams become 2. And then the final. July 19th, MetLife Stadium, East Rutherford, New Jersey. 1 game, 1 trophy. The rules from the round of 32 onward are brutal in their simplicity. Win or go home. If a match is level after 90 minutes, you get 30 minutes of extra time. If it's still level after that, you go to penalties. 5 kicks, 1 goalkeeper, a nation holding its breath. No rematches, no second legs. The team that scores more wins. The team that doesn't starts booking flights to lift the trophy at MetLife. A team has to win 8 straight games. 5 knockout rounds, no margin for error on any of them. So here's the bottom line. On paper, this bracket looks overwhelming. 12 groups, 495 combinations, a preset matchup matrix that takes a full read-through to understand. But when you strip it back, You're tracking three things: who wins the group, who finishes second, and whether the third-place team has enough points and goals to be one of the 8 that sneaks through. Follow those three things across your favorite group, and you'll know exactly what the bracket looks like for them, and exactly who they might face when the knockout rounds begin. That's all you need. Everything else is just detail filling in around those three facts.